Ever feel like you're drowning in a sea of digital information with great ideas slipping right through your fingers? I know I did until I unlocked the power of my systematic synthesis system in Notion. It's a game changer, and I know it will be for you too. As someone who thrives on lifelong learning and is currently navigating law school, alongside a busy full-time job, managing a growing side business, and prioritizing time with my family, I faced the challenges of retaining and applying vast amounts of information. That's where my Notion systematic synthesis template steps in. This transforms overwhelming data into actionable knowledge. Curious about turning your digital overwhelm into a streamlined, productive knowledge journey? Stay tuned, because in this video, I'm going to walk you through this Notion template step by step. Hi, my name is Dr. Monica Rishabi. Welcome back to my channel. With over 20 years of experience as an educator teaching K-12, college, and graduate level students, and business experience as the Chief Operating Officer of an online education company, my channel, Systematic You, is here to help you conquer digital defeat and emerge as an everyday knowledge warrior with my practical insights and systematic workflows. Let's start with the end in mind. So after you set this up, after you start using it in your Notion system, what is it going to look like? But what are you actually going to get out of doing all of this? Sometimes I see really cool Notion templates that look like they will be perfect for a system that I'm working with. But then when I get into it, I'm like, this doesn't actually produce what I wanted it to produce. So it's really important for me to show you what you will find in your template. After you've added some source material, you've added your characteristics and details about the source, you've added your transcript, and then you've used the power of AI to help you synthesize this information so that you can learn it faster, better, and apply it much more often than you did before. So this is the All Sources tab inside of this template. And as you can see, I have the wrapping turned on. If you don't want to see the wrapping, and actually I think that on the All Sources tab, I would most likely leave the wrapping off, because that way you can see all your sources and you don't have any of them cut off. But I leave it on here just so that you can see what you get with this. I added this entry today, and this is a YouTube video that I watched, how to make a killer thumbnail to blow up your channel. And I just chose a source type. Notice I have a Monica's examples just because that way if you want to hide my examples later and you don't have to see them, I would recommend deleting them, but that's why that's there. You can also add additional source types. So for example, podcast, book, article, whatever you would like to do here. Interest areas. This is a really important field. This is a single select field. Actually, I believe it's multiple select. Let's double check. It is a multiple select. Good, because you could put more than one interest area here if you'd like. Here's why this is important. The AI prompts reference interest areas. So I'm asking it, and I'll show you in a moment, to take a look at the transcript material that you've added and through the lens of the interest areas that you said are important to you, and to bring back a summary, key points, terms and definitions, and quiz questions. You'll see all of the AI fields have this little AI next to it. And notice it's not that easy to accidentally run the AI. So if you're concerned about running it when you don't want to, it's not that easy or simple to do. You just have to click this update button to rerun it again. You can also choose to run all of them on a particular column if you would like to do that. But in this case, I'm not doing that. I just use it on the individual sources. So if you go through, you'll see all the way to the end. There's the transcript, which is of course going to be the longest column. That's why this wrapping really goes on forever, because it's such a long transcript. And then I have a source link. And again, this is just the all view that shows you everything. Reflections, and some of these things you'll see make a little bit more sense as we go through it. But I wanted you to see at the end of this, like once you have some sources in here, what kind of content do you see? This is what it would look like. Let's get started by building our first source. So the very first tab in this template has a view for logging a source. This filter is set up so that it is just filtered by the status has to be logged. And that's the default status for this database. So when you create a new one, just click new, you'll notice it goes to logged immediately. Now I have off camera some things I've taken screenshots of and copies so I can quickly add some information. So this video that I'm logging today is called How to Kill Your YouTube Channel Quickly. And the source, because I always like to put in where it came from, is the URL, the video where I found it. And I want to make sure that I log the author. If I don't log the source immediately, it drives me nuts later trying to figure out who it is. So, best practice, log your source as often as you can. So, once I do that, if I have had that person before, this person would have been in my sources to choose from. Since she wasn't, I made it. And I'm going to go ahead and also add Meredith Marsh's YouTube channel because I watch her channel a lot. And that way I have it in here. And I'm going to classify her as a YouTube creator. No, this is my classification and how I keep people straight. This is not necessarily how that particular individual classifies themselves. So, that disclaimer. If I click and I can close that back out again, I've added the name of the source URL, the source individual, and this is a YouTube video. So I'm just going to choose video. You could add podcast, you could add book, article, whatever you want. This is just a multi-select field. As far as interest areas are concerned, this one had to do with, I would say, growing my YouTube channel, despite the fact that it's sort of what not to do. But I think I'm going to add a new field here, or I'm going to add a new category because I think this would be interesting, like lessons learned regarding YouTube. Because I think a lot of people create content around that area, so I can see myself logging things about that. I also think this would be better to be a little bit more clear because the AI does reference the interest areas field. So I'm going to put what not to do on YouTube. So I've added this video. The only thing left I have to do is add the transcript, which I already went ahead and copied as well. So let me grab that. And then I'm going to paste the transcript into the transcript block. No, it's long. So right now I have wrapping on, just like I showed you a moment ago when this video first began. If you have wrapping turned on and you don't want to turn on, you can just click the 3-dot hamburger menu, go to layout, and take the wrap all columns off. I like this on when I'm kind of trying to review things, especially when I get to the synthesize stage. But I think in the logging the source, I just want to make sure the transcript is there. So at this point, I have logged the source. You'll see that there are other fields in here, but these are all AI fields or fields you are filling in yourself. So they're not necessary for the log as source stage. At this point, I'm going to go to changing my status to ready for AI. Now, this doesn't prompt anything. It's important for me to say that because in some systems, when you change statuses, it could trigger AI. In this particular template, this does not do that. So that's just taking it out of the log as source view for me. So it's a nice clean, just enter a new source so that I'm ready to do that. Then I move over to process with AI. And because it was ready for AI and it's filtered for that, you can see this video is here. And now I can begin to run the AI commands. So all I have to do is click the little update button next to it. And you'll see it begins to write out all the information. And in this one, I'm going to turn on the wrap because I think this is kind of cool. You can see it pre-filling as it comes in. I get such a kick out of this. Key points, same deal. You can click the buttons. Out come the key points. If you decide you're not really thrilled with that, like you wanted to try it again, you could always choose to update it. It'll run it again. Terms and definitions. So I'll go here and click update. And there we go. Generally speaking, while I'm doing this right now, I skim in and maybe I make a few stylistic changes. Like I don't need key terms and definitions because that's the name of the header of the field. But I don't pay much attention to it right now. I'm just trying to go through and run the AI commands. So when I get to my quiz questions, I'm going to go ahead and click update. And out come the quiz questions. So at this point, I've completed my processing. So processing is done. I've run the AI on all of the different fields, and I'm just going to change it to synthesize out of this view. Again, this is more for organizational purposes. It's only for organizational purposes. It does not trigger anything with the AI. And then synthesize. This stage of the process is filtered just like the others were. So this one's filtered for synthesize. And what you can do at this point is you have your status, you have all the information you've entered before. But now what you're doing is you're taking a look at the summary. You're actually, reviewing it, you're reading it, you're looking at the key points, the terms and definitions. You're taking some time to go through this information and bonus points if you have time to set aside to do some quizzing of yourself. I shared at the beginning of this video that I have a busy life. So I create quiz questions all the time. I don't quiz all the time. I try to quiz myself at least once a week, particularly on law school content, just because it keeps my brain really making sure I'm in the right mindset and I'm picking up on the things that I'm doing each week. But I'm sharing this to say it's okay if just because you have quiz questions and you're not always quizzing with them, that's not, you're not a failure. It's a choice. Just find time to work into your schedule. I have personally found that if I block off specific sets of time to do certain things, I am much more likely to get them done. So at this point, you have all the different things, you've reviewed them, maybe you've quizzed yourself. Now you're giving some reflections. So for example, with this video, if I skim because I haven't watched it yet, this is a video I grabbed because I bookmarked and wanted to watch, but I realized I haven't watched it yet. And I can see that there's some different key points, of course, titles and thumbnails, intriguing, experimenting is important. I think that's really interesting. Experimenting is important, but starting a series can help maintain momentum. I'm going to bold that because that's something I want to come back to. I also like creating the balance between content for the algorithm and content you're passionate about. That's super important too. So 2 quick reflections that I have about this particular video. I need to find a way to balance what I want to talk about and what others would like to learn about. That's something I've struggled with on YouTube before. I have sometimes gotten into periods of time where I didn't publish for a long time, like my other YouTube channel that I've abandoned and started a new one. And a big part of that was because I would start with a very singular focus in mind, one particular thing I was going to talk about. And I either burnt out about that and didn't want to talk about it anymore, or just wasn't using the tool anymore. So this time around, I've gotten much more wide to something that just really speaks to my heart the most, which is systematic workflows. And figuring out different ways to enhance your productivity and just overall joy in your life by having systems and workflows into place that help you do that. So then I'm able to find a balance of that, right? Because instead of just talking about one tool, one idea, I have multiple things to talk about. However, what the others would like to learn about is what I'm still learning. So I have to figure out, when people watch videos on my channel, what are they coming to find? So that's something I'm continuing to balance. So I'm going to add that too. I want to figure out what people want to see when they watch videos on my channel. Now, connections is kind of the last secret sauce of my systematic synthesis system. It's a tongue twister, right? Here's the secret sauce. I have found that number one, reflecting, super important. It gives me a time to pause and think about, the so what in my life as to this information I just experienced. But the connections are where I've really had tremendous growth, because this is when I take the time to think about, based on what I just watched, what I just learned, listened, read, whatever, what projects or activities that currently exist in my life could I use this information with? So the connections field is a link to a projects database field. And I have a project in here already, growing the systematic YouTube channel. And this is something that is a overall project that has many sub projects. And the reason I link to this is because I want to be able to, if I were to go back to that project and I could take a look, I could see I've linked in just in this template to example sources of material from my systematic synthesis database that relates to this. And I find that to be super critical, because that not only has me reflect on what I've learned, it has me think about how and where and when possibly I could use this information in the future. So the last piece I would like to show you with this video is that there is one more view, and the next view is complete. We talked about that in the beginning. This complete, now if I were to go all the way through it, I can see that all the information has been filled out here. Again, you can always go into your layout and you can choose to wrap your columns if you want to see all of the information. I hope you enjoyed this overview of the systematic synthesis system. If you've decided that you're interested and this is a template you would like to use in your system today, I have a template for you. Check out the link in the show notes to pick up the systematic synthesis template. You will be brought to a page like this where my YouTube video will be embedded. I also have a recommended tool for my grabbing the transcripts from YouTube videos. It's a Chrome extension that I like to use. It also works in Arc browser. And I have all of the databases that are part of the system. I was demonstrating this one predominantly today, but it also brings you into the sources and the projects databases as well. On one final note, if you already have databases in your system for sources, for example, in projects, It's a simple swap. You just go into your systematic synthesis template. And when you are looking at the areas where it connects to different fields, so for example, the connections that's going into projects, you would just click on it, edit the property, and change where it's related to. So that's a very simple swap if you would like to do that. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I love to talk workflows and systems. Have a great day.